Hey beautifuls, Hannah here from Reality Awareness. So welcome to my live stream, or if you're watching the replay, comment below. Let me know where you are from around the world. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all my new soul aligned, deeply resonating, magical, powerful beings that have joined this space. I welcome you to this sacred space where you are not crazy, you are completely in tune, you are highly connected, you are so on point, you even scare yourself at times. Today I am doing a live Q&A, so you can ask me anything about anything. I felt called to be here in service to asking anything about anything. So go ahead and type in your questions, any topic, anything at all. Some things, obviously, I will be mindful about how I am speaking about what I'm speaking about. But I wanted to jump on and say hi to all these beautiful new souls. So I'm just going to share this live stream and I will bring up the comments. I will endeavor to answer as many comments as I can on this live stream. So let me just share this and I shall be present with you. Hello, hello. This will let me share this. All right, one more place and I shall share it. So welcome, welcome. A little bit excited to do a Q&A. I haven't done a Q&A for ages, but it's been on my mind. All right, so we are live. All right, so I'm just gonna bring up these comments on my computer so I can answer them. Like I said, I'm gonna answer as many questions as I possibly can on this call, this live stream today. If it'll let me bring it up here as well. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. So one thing I want to say as well, so welcome, as I said, to all my new beautiful souls, these people who are deeply aligned and resonating with your heart and soul. Like, it's awesome to connect with people who get it, okay? I'm all about keeping it in reality. So what I want to say first is that a lot of my content is long. It's long, yeah? What I highly recommend is that you listen to it while you're multitasking. A lot of the time, I'm just sitting here like this. You don't need to like sit here for like an hour and like, oh, this is boring. I've got stuff to do. Like, multitask. Like, you can have it playing in your earphones, you can have it playing on the loudspeaker, you can have it playing in your car. You don't have to sit there and watch me just talking on the screen. So I highly recommend listening, multitasking. Like, we're busy, we've got stuff to do. My passion is about helping you to be intuitive and do this intuitive work, strengthen your gifts, your psychic abilities, like understand intuition, like in reality, yeah? Because we are like intuitive all the time, like that doesn't turn off, right? It doesn't turn off. This is literally like taking yoga off the mat. You know how they talk about that? It's not like, oh, you just do yoga on the mat and then you're like a different person when you get off the mat. So we're like lead busy modern day lives. The world's in chaos and everyone's falling apart at the moment. So we've got stuff to do, yeah? So always, you know, make use of your time, yeah? There's things when you're hanging out the washing or doing the dishes or cleaning or whatever, like multitask and listen, yeah? There's so much content you can consume whilst you're multitasking. So the other thing I wanted to share is that like consciousness takes time, healing takes time, yeah? So a lot of people, like on my last live stream, like I scrolled through some of the comments and I just wanted to say, like, those of you who sent me a private message or commented on my last live stream and were kind and got it, like, I see you, like, I really want to acknowledge you guys and just say thank you. And I'm so grateful that you're here and you get it and you're aligned, and it's magic, right? To be around people who get it, because I think it's so important in this day and age, especially today, right? So when I see you guys comment, please know I see you. Yeah, I really see you. I want to acknowledge you. Like, usually I go through all the comments, but on that live stream I couldn't. There was too many, which is just amazing that so many people saw that and it's still being shared. And it's like a message that obviously needed to get out there. I'm very, very grateful for that. What was the other thing I wanted to say? So the other thing that I also want to say is, you know, and that's why I sort of commented on my page, you might have seen it, like when people are ready to hear, when people are ready to listen, they will hear. And there's a time and a place for fighting against the people who won't get it. And then there's a time for just focusing on your purpose. The reality is that right now we're being distracted from what we're really meant to be doing. And the more, like, there's a time and a place for being there, and there's a time and a place, and most of the time and place we should be spent on our purpose to be able to putting energy into this new world, because that's how that world is being destructed right now. Okay, we're not fighting only fuels that, if that makes sense. Yeah. If you didn't see, so on my Facebook page, I think it was like the post that I did this morning, so it's probably like 2 posts ago. And it's a woman that shared a YouTube about 4 years ago, right? And like, if you're worried about how is this gonna like turn around in the world, and you know, because it is bigger than us, I highly recommend watching that YouTube if you haven't seen it yet. So the last thing I want to say before I get into these questions and answers, I see your questions coming in, I'm excited to jump into them, is if you haven't received my Clear and Activate pack, make sure you jump in on that. It is my free Clear and Activate pack. It is specifically called Clear and Activate for a reason. If you're new to this, or if you want just where do you get started in reality awareness, because there's so much content here, right? I'm passionate about teaching you to heal yourself, teaching you to strengthen your intuition, like I said, like all the time, because we're living it. And it doesn't switch off. So how do we do it real time? Like in reality, like some of us don't have time to sit there going like, oh, like for hours on end. Like it's like, this is in reality. We do it in reality. We're always receiving information anyway. We might as well learn how to do it in reality, right? So my Clear and Activate pack, there's training videos that I've specifically put in there that goes through the specific meditations that I have in there. Please take time to watch them. Multitask, listen to them actually if you're busy, and you can understand how to use those meditations on the go when you're walking out of the shopping center, when you've been in a harsh environment. Like, you understand how to do it real time, not like, oh, now I need to go and like meditate and I don't have time for that. Like, no, like these tools are designed so you can do it on the go all the time. So I'm just going to pop the link in the comments here for the Clear and Activate pack. If you don't have that, please grab it. It's free. You just need to exchange your email, of course. If you, like on your device, on the App Store, if you download an app called Kajabi, it's Kajabi. It's a blue and white symbol. Once you've signed up to the Clear and Activate pack, then go to the App Store, download Kajabi, and it will prompt you to log in with your email that you logged in for the Reality Awareness Clear and Activate pack. And then it will bring up the Clear and Activate pack, and anything you sign up for with Reality Awareness will show up in your Kajabi app. And that way it's easy to, you know, gain access to and listen to the meditations and stuff like that. I'm also just about to put some extra things in there for you guys as well. So keep an eye out for that coming up soon. So let me pop this in. It's just that I wanted to share that because a lot of you have been asking, where do I start? How do I get started with that? That is definitely the best place to start. I'm just going to see if I can pin that comment at all. I can, perfect. So it's just pinned at the top there as well. So, okay, let me get started on these questions and answers. So where are we? Tracy Lee says, is everything going to get better for me? I want to say that we create our own reality. We are the ones who create things getting better for us or not. Our health, our wellness, our mindset, our way we show up in the world, the things we create, like money, finances, career, health, love, happiness. We create that. There is no one outside of you that will make that better for you. It is definitely an inside job. It is not easy, right? It is not easy to change your life. Yeah, and this is where, you know, some people on that last live stream were like commenting like a couple of minutes in, if even, and they're like, you're blah, blah, blahing. And I'm like, wow, you commented this at like 2 minutes in. I'm like, this is so interesting. Like, you know, it just, I'm like, you know, like everyone's looking for the quick fix pill, but I know the ones who are here to do the real work, they're here. Yeah. So is everything going to get better for you? I say if you create it, so if you do the inner work and outer work to change your life, things will get better. Yeah. Alina says, hello, what is next for you? What is next for me, please? I say whatever you would like to create in the world is definitely what is next for you. So I might be psychic, I might be intuitive, but I definitely do not tell the future. Yeah, I'm big on that, right? I do not tell the future. Why? Because ultimately the future is not set in stone, like at all. The future is not set in stone. So you create the future you want. Now, if you're stuck about what you even want, I suggest, you know, writing, journaling on that question. Like, what is next for me? What is next for me? You can even write, soul, I'm asking you, like speaking to your soul, what is next for me? You can say spirit guides of 100% light. What is next for me? And just whatever comes to mind. It might sound ridiculous. It might be like going to the beach. I don't know, buying a new dress. Like, it might sound ridiculous, right? Just write it down. When it seems like it stops, ask the question again, write the question again, or just ask it again. What is next for me? And just whatever comes out, like, don't judge it, don't think about it, just write. And the more you repeat, sort of ask that question in a session of writing, you'll find it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and your soul will speak. But we have to listen, yeah? So I definitely recommend that. You get to create anything, but if you're stuck, ask your soul, yeah? So Linda says, when will people wake up to what is happening in our society? Oh, you're in Melbourne, like the hardest place ever. To be honest, I don't know, okay? In April last year, I did get the intuitive message because I was freaking out about things, and my spirit guide that I work with in particular came through and said, it's okay, don't stress. The world, because I was like, I'm not ready to like support the world, I need to get stuff done, right? Reality awareness is here to change the world. I know that, right? And I was freaking out last year because I wasn't ready. And my spirit guide came through and said, it's okay, the world's not ready for this level of consciousness until 2027. Now you might be like screaming hearing that date because it's a long way away. But the reality of that, when you say, when are people going to wake up to what is happening in our society? The reality is that right now, humans that are not awake are actually in a relationship with a narcissist. They're in a domestic violence abusive cycle. When we look at it like that, we can understand between now and 2027, because the sort of stages and processes of people waking up to abuse, to narcissism, to being asleep even, right? To being unconscious, then the stage to being conscious. There's stages in that, right? They're asleep, then they start to wake up, right? If we look at it in like a narcissistic abusive relationship and a woman or a man leaving an abusive relationship, right? There's stages, yeah? There's the waking up and we're going, oh, we're in it, and we realize that we're in it. But we're like, so what happens now? Like we're in this narcissistic abusive relationship, we're conscious of that, but we also now don't know what to do. And I just want to point out, there's actually a lot of people in this stage right now. Yeah, last year they weren't in that stage. Right now there's actually a lot of people that have moved from unconsciousness to like they're starting to see the truth. And a lot of people are like in it and they're like, well, this isn't right, but they also don't know what to do about it. They don't know what to do about it. They don't know how to stand up to it. They might have had the jab and they're also like, and I just want to point out, right, when we're judging people for being asleep or sheep or have already had it, it's going to be harder for them to, I want to say, number one, wake up, or to even feel safe enough to come to people like us to get out of it, So be very mindful, and I know not you guys probably not doing it, but be very mindful when you're judging people who have had it or are asleep or that sort of thing, okay? If we look at these stages of awakening and these stages of them waking up, we need to be compassionate, kind, and ready to catch them in this space, if that makes sense, right? That's our purpose, that's our job, that's why we are awake, okay? So there's actually a lot of people in this stage right now that are just going, something isn't right here, and maybe they can't place their finger on it, so then they kind of go back into unconsciousness, but you guys know, once we're awake, we can't go back to sleep. So they're just sort of toying in this stage. There's a big wave of people here at the moment. Then the next sort of phase is like, okay, this is not okay. And they're like ready to take a stand, but maybe they still don't. So then they become very angry, right? They might flick between like, like judging people like us and being angry at us and it's your fault. And then they come back into consciousness and they're like, oh, but, they know what speaking is truth. And they're like, and they still, so they're flicking, okay? You have to remember they're flicking because they're probably also around people that are very in this unconscious state with what's going on, okay? And so we have to be really mindful and open-hearted and ready to catch them. Yeah, like this is a big piece of what I'm training my healers in my Trust Intuition to become a certified healer, because in the next several years, they're going to need people like us. And healing isn't just putting crystals on a person, it's being able to communicate, it's being emotionally intelligent between your intuition, emotions, triggers, shadow, inner child, past life, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's all these different parts, and we need to know how to hold somebody coming out of this state, because there's a lot of people coming out of that right now. And so there's people at this stage, and then there's people that are just awake and they've had it and they're like angry, but they're doing something about it, but they're sad and they're like, I can't believe this. And they're moving into where we are. Okay, so when you say like, when will people wake up? There's still a lot of people unconscious, of course. As I can't remember his name, Anthony, he shares a lot of this stuff on my Facebook. Well, not my Facebook, it's a friend on my Facebook. And he said something really wise on one of his live streams just in the last month or so. I caught it. And he said, you know what? There is some people in this lifetime that will never wake up to this tyranny, that will never even realize that this is happening. They will go to their grave. This is just normal reality. And we also have to remember that as much as we want everybody to wake up, is it a reality that everybody is going to wake up this lifetime? I mean, we don't know. We would love that if that would happen, but we don't know. But I do solemnly believe that over the next 5 to 7 years, there's going to be a huge shift, and there's going to be a lot of people. Now, I'm still at the top of my comments, and I really want to answer as many questions as I can on this Q&A, but I did see someone pop up and say something about the black line that I speak of in 2024. Amongst that 2027 message that I got, like, I feel like that's a point where people are like, that's enough. That, I feel, is the turning point for the stepping out of the narcissistic relationship and going, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. Like, when we're in a narcissistic, domestic violence, abusive relationship, we get to that point where we're like, I'm totally done. That's where I feel it's going to take that sort of length of time for that to get there. The black line in 2024 is a bit of a mystery. When I got that message about 2027, I did see like 2024 as a black line. What that means, I still don't know. It's very speculative. So is 2027. I mean, like, who really knows this stuff, right? This is why I teach you to trust your intuition. I get messages, other people get messages. There's all this information out there. And then you need to, I want to say consolidate and discern all that information for yourself. Then you need to sit with that and trust your intuition about the messages you're receiving, about all the messages you received, and what your own intuition is telling you, okay? 2024 could be that aspect when, like, I don't like to say it, but, like, there's things in what people's bodies are carrying right now that I just need to be mindful what I'm speaking about on this live stream too, but, that once you've had it, you're not going to survive. I mean, at the end of the day, that was really flying around the others, and the web and whatever. When I really thought about it, I was like, yeah, I get that, right? I get that it's a poison if you may. At the same time, it's also a patented technology. The company that designed it put a patent on it. You have to ask why. And then the next question you have to ask is, why would a company that spent trillions of dollars on their product then go and kill their product? You have to ask that question, because from a business standpoint, a company wouldn't do that. I understand there's theories out there that, you know, depopulation and all that sort of thing, and I'm like, at the end of the day, who really knows? At this point in time, it's all in the future. And as I always say, the future is not set in stone, no matter whose plan or life path it is. Because at the end of the day, there's only right now, and in every moment right now, everybody has a choice about their tomorrow. Sure, a psychic, a healer, whatever, can see a trajectory of a certain outcome in the future. If that person continues to make the same choices that that psychic sees, if that person chooses a different thing in that moment, they're not going to live this life, they're going to live this one. Okay, we have to remember that there's no set in stone whether people are predicting this or that trajectory, about that trajectory, about, we have to remember that. Okay, nothing is set in stone, no matter whose plan it is. So when will people wake up? I hope that helps answer the question. It's not a direct question, it's not a direct answer, I know, but there's a lot there, right? All right, let me keep going with these questions. So Maggie says, is Reiki the right path for me? Only you know what the right path for you is. I know Reiki is well known out there. I personally am trained in Reiki. When I trained in it, I never used it. I don't personally resonate with it. I love working hands-on healing because I believe that we can all, you know, do that just with a simple, like, you know, sending energy or light or whatever through our hands, whether we want to put symbols through that, right? So is Reiki the right path for you? Ask your intuition. If we're questioning something, yeah, maybe I would sit with that a bit longer. Or if it feels right to do it, it'll be like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do. Like, you'll know, right? All right, so Kerry says, will my daughter end up dating the boy she is talking to? Don't know. And I say I don't know to those sorts of questions because I'm like, just what I explained before about the trajectory and people's choices in every moment. It depends, right? Depends on their choices, their reactions, their internal, you know, space, their life path. Yeah, it could possibly be, but that depends. And then when I say that, I just got, like, whether it's for a couple of months or in a couple of months, that's what I heard when I also said that. So Kaylee says, hi from South Africa, hello. How do you control my anger? It feels like it builds up when I'm at home. Single mum blues. Oh, it's hard being a single mum. Trust me, I freaking know, right? So, controlling your anger, when you say it builds up when I'm at home. Number one, as a single mum, our biggest priority is taking care of ourselves, which usually comes very last. What I would recommend the most is making sure your energy clearing your home, making sure your home feels loving, beautiful, and kind, supportive, makes you go, oh, feels beautiful to be here, or doesn't make that, oh, I don't want to be here, right? And so working on changing just little things. You can even change furniture around, like, you know, to really change the energy of a house and a room. Little things make a big difference. The other thing is exercise. When there's a buildup of anger, like there's so many different reasons for anger, and I just did a post on this on my page just yesterday, I think, or the day before, so just scroll back and you should see that as well. That's just one example of anger. There's like, I could do a whole live stream on anger, but as a single mum in that situation, with the message I'm specifically getting you for you right now, exercise shifts energy, yeah, and especially when we're sort of trapped at home as a single mum, exercise will keep you sane, yeah? So that's for you specifically. Debbie says, will I ever be able to stop worrying about number 3 child? If you choose to. As I always say, don't worry, pray. Something when you're worrying about a child or another person is really important to see them connected to their higher source, to their spirit. Their soul is always guiding them, even through things that you think are not good for them. Their soul, their life path, their life purpose journey is guiding them in some way, shape or form for a reason, for some sort of wake up, for some learning soul lesson. We have to really let go of control about that. The more we worry, that's filtering worry energy onto them. Now, I don't think you want that. So see them connected to source, their soul, their guides, hand it over to God, to universe, you know, like ask their angels, their spirit guides to support them, to take care of them. And every time you start worrying, go, oh, archangels, spirit guides, God, universe, whoever you talk to, always have 100% light, add on to the end. Please take care of my child, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, like ask that rather than, oh, I'm so worried about them, because it's a very different energy. Yeah. Okay. So Brody says, your opinion on Daoist Qigong practice. Do you mean Qigong? I'm thinking. So my opinion on any of sort of modalities or healing modalities or practices, I'm always like, what works for you? Yeah. If something works for you and it makes you feel alive and good, I'm like, do more, do more of that. Yeah. Because again, I'm all about what feels right for you, because every single person, every single body makeup, every single chemistry, every single life path that you've walked is different. And every single modality resonates differently, and we need different modalities over different times in our life, and some of them will stick with us for a lifetime. Others we're like, need them for a period of time, and then we're like, oh, this doesn't resonate with me anymore, because you've got what you needed from it, you got the healing you needed from it. And so then I would recommend, you know, finding something else, or maybe you do that for the rest of your life, like here and there, or you drop off, or you start it again, like find what works for you is more the point. Yeah. So if it feels good, do it. Doesn't, don't do it, and trust that. Yeah. Yay, people from South Africa. So yes, I am well, thank you. So Phoenix says, I need help, what do I do? So awesome question. So like I said to someone before, you can ask your soul that. You can also use like affirmations, positive affirmations really help you get on path, you know, like I'm always on the right path even if it doesn't feel like it. My soul is always guiding me. I'm always in the right place at the right time. And you can also use my internal compass chakra clearing, which is in the Clear and Activate pack. That clears your chakras, activates your internal compass, so you're always on the right path for you. Yeah, so definitely work with that. Also remember, when we are going through change, there is a recalibration point, and we will feel lost, and we will feel, I don't know what's happening. You're recalibrating. You're not lost, you're recalibrating. I always say that. Yeah, when you've gone through any sort of change or relationship breakup or whatever's happened, there's a period of time from your old life to your new life, and in that point it can feel like you're lost, you're confused, you don't know what's going on. It's kind of like a spiritual awakening. and you can just imagine your internal compass is recalibrating. Yeah, and if you keep that in mind, you're going to eventually find that, oh, okay, here we go, and we feel good again. But this transitionary period will always make us feel like, I don't know what's going on in my life. So it's really important to be around people who get it, that can support you. So I do work one-on-one with my clients. I'm like, you know, the queen of helping you through change. It's kind of what I do. Because, you know, you have to remember when a big change happens, when you go through a spiritual awakening or something cuts you off, or it's like crossroads, like you have to remember your life purpose is awakening. That's why, you know, this path doesn't work for you anymore. Your life purpose is awakening, and usually we have to clear out all the crap and, you know, walk away from things that are not aligned. Like when things are breaking down, it's because you're being guided on a path that is awakening your purpose. Yeah. So hence why I help people with a lot of change and, you know, things that are outdated or, you know, hard, because it's just not in alignment anymore, right? But your life purpose is usually awakening, and you're getting closer to that when you're going through a massive change, yeah? So Maggie says, totally get you, loved your last live. Yeah, thank you so much for that. So Diane says, one question, will my son be okay? So again, similar question to the lady just before around, you know, like, don't worry, pray. Definitely use those pieces that I said there before for her too. Applies to whether you're worrying about a child, a family member, a friend, whatever, same process, yeah? Leanne says, definitely been distracted lately. Yeah, distractions are at an all-time high, yeah? So Kat says, what do the numbers 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 mean? Okay, awesome question. So when we ask, you know, we receive information or receive whatever it is, you know, we're like, what does this mean? Like, you know, like, and we keep getting the same message all the time. We're like, I don't know what it means, but I'm seeing these same signs. Always remember to ask your intuition for more information. I think it's something we forget so often, and it is like the most simplest thing, and we're like, oh yeah, right? And it's something I say to people a lot. So, you know, if you're seeing signs or you like don't know and you're like, I just see this all the time, and then you can ask intuition, my soul, God, universe, whatever, whoever you speak to, can I please have more information about this? Now you might get information straight away. You might start thinking about something, or a song gets stuck in your head, or, you know, it might happen a couple of days later when you're going to sleep. All this information might drop in. You'll be like, oh, that's what it's about, right? So always ask for more information. Numbers specifically, there's lots of like numerology out there. There's angel numbers. There's lots of beautiful books and like lots of people who've channeled lots of messages about numbers. I love like the angel numbers and messages. So 1, 2, 3 is simplify your life by letting go of anything extraneous or unnecessary. Ask others, including heaven, to help you and delegate more often. So ask for help. The message 21, because I can only type in 3, it says, your optimism is definitely warranted. The angels are working behind the scenes on your behalf right this very minute. You can help support the angels' work by saying positive affirmations. I was just talking about that. And believing that your dream is already manifesting. So this is the thing, like these, you know, like our thoughts do direct our life. A lot of people stop positive affirmations because they're like, it's not working. What we have to remember is if you've been doing it for a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, even 5 years even, let's take a year. Okay, you've been doing this spiritual work and positive affirmations and it's not working. If you've been doing it for a year, you have to remember that you've got your whole life before that year that you're undoing. It takes time. It takes inner work. Number 2, always remember that when you feel like it's not working, you're about to have a breakthrough. Do not stop. The hardest part is right at the end, okay? You have to remember that. When it feels like it's not working, you're about to break through. Keep going. It's like the hardest time to say positive affirmations when it's like you're falling apart. But I know everything's working out for my highest good, and I know I'm always being guided by my soul, and, you know, everything happens for a reason, and I'm always in the right place at the right time. Like, positive affirmations can really shift you from heading in a spiral or shifting and, you know, releasing and shedding stuff and keeping you on the right path. Yeah. Okay, Bianca says, what's on the job horizon for me? So again, journaling, affirmations is the way that you create and bring stuff into your reality. If you are not journaling every day about being grateful for, you know, what you already have. So I'm so grateful that I have this amazing new job. I'm so grateful that it came in effortlessly. I'm so grateful that I work for amazing people. Thank you so much for bringing these people to me. I'm so grateful that it happened effortlessly and easily. I love going to work. I love waking up and going to my new job. Thank you so much. You're writing as though it's already happened. That is the key. Now, when we do this over time, it'll feel like it's not working. It brings up stuff, okay? Because the hardest thing to change your life and change your reality is writing things that are not yet true. Yeah? It's the hardest piece. And when stuff comes up, because everything that you're living right now is fighting that. Your brain's going, that's not happening. Yeah, you're lying. You're like, it's happened. And your brain's going, and your subconscious is going, you're bullshitting yourself. Like, come on, right? And those pieces is where the healing is, yeah? And this is why doing that deep inner healing work, having a mentor, again, this is what I work with people, because when we are journaling or doing whatever to change our life, all the stuff that has held you back and created your life to this day, all the stuff in your subconscious, all the neural pathways, all that stuff is fighting against your new life. And when you have the tools, again, I teach you how to do this so that you don't have to keep coming back to me. You know, I'm passionate about giving you the tools so you can do it for life. doing that inner work that shifts you is how you're able to, move through that. And then you'll break through and you'll be like, oh, and then all these things will shift and like your reality starts to land of all the things you've been writing about, right? So you get to create what job you have by journaling as if it's already here, yeah? Yes, it is 11/11. Oh, and by the way, so people have been asking me like, what are you doing for 11/11? And, and I know there's usually sometimes we do things for 11/11 at Reality Awareness. I haven't felt called to, obviously, this year. What I am focusing on, so we've got the full moon next week, so next Friday, next Friday evening I'm holding it, so Friday, wherever you're around the world, and that is I think it's a partial lunar eclipse off the top of my head. So we're in eclipse season now, we're in that 10-day window, we've stepped into it. 2 weeks later on the new moon, I think from memory, is a total solar eclipse. I'm going to hold a public live stream. So usually my full moon ceremony is a paid group and a paid ceremony. On the eclipse, I think it's like the 4th of December, I'll have to double check that. It's around that time. I'm going to hold a live public ceremony for the total lunar eclipse. These are very powerful ceremonies that come through when I hold these. So I guess all my focus and energy has already been on that. And people are like, 11/11. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, it's 11/11. I'm like, I'm doing a new moon, total lunar eclipse or whatever. So yeah, so your feed keeps dropping at your reception, so the replay will always be here for you can multitask listening, because remember, I always do long stuff. Sometimes I do short stuff, but majority is long. I have a way of explaining things, and sometimes it's like putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, so you do usually need to listen to the end to get the gold. But I'm usually sitting here and you're just seeing my face and I'm talking, and whilst I might be, okay to look at or whatever, if you may, I do love myself. I do value who I am. Some people might not agree, and that's okay. I'm just not your cup of tea. That's fine. But you can always multitask listening is what I'm saying. It's not like I'm here doing slideshows and you need to see. Sometimes I hold things up, and I do love doing slideshows as well because I'm a very visual person. I love seeing diagrams and all that sort of thing. Okay, so Mez says, are we in the transition of leaving the old earth and entering the new earth spirituality? What dimension are we heading into? 5D, ? I'm like, well, I don't know. And I don't say that out of like, with what you're saying, I feel like I am here to to break the myth of modern day spirituality. I'm very passionate about not being attached to labels. Labels are really important for explaining and understanding things. Sometimes some things I say might seem really judgmental. For example, when I'm labeling people as unconscious or narcissistic or anything like that, I'm just explaining an energy in that moment to help understand what I'm explaining. The next level is really undoing that label, yeah? So what is behind the label? What is the piece behind that, yeah? So with the 5D and the 3D and we're ascending, and at the end of the day, and this is what I always say, who actually knows? This is why I teach you to trust your intuition. Because at the end of the day, labels are good for understanding. Labels are good for having a conscious awareness about something, and then your mastery of your intuition and of your evolution, of your spiritual evolution, of your journey, of whatever that is releasing the label and tuning into the energy and not being attached to the label. Because at the end of the day, like I said, who really knows what 5D is? I mean, sure, there's some people that will go, but it's a thing, Hannah, and there's like 12 dimensions, and there's this and there's that, and I've seen it in my sight, and it's what my guide showed me, and it's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's great. Trust your intuition. But I choose to tune in, and I'm like, who really knows? Right? I love working with the different dimensional levels. I love working with multi-dimensional realms. I love working with spirit guides and animal spirit guides and star being guides and all these pieces. I love that. But don't get attached to it. Okay? if you're like absorbing it and your soul's like, but this so interests me, Hannah. And I'm like, good. This is what I teach in Trust Intuition. If something catches your attention and your soul is like soaking it up, it's like food. You just can't get enough of it, right? I'm like, can you follow that? Follow that until you're like, doesn't really resonate anymore. Like, or whatever that is. Because what's happening is you're growing and learning and absorbing and all that sort of thing in a particular, I don't know, like your soul does that, right? And I have students come through Trust Intuition and they're like, yeah, this course. And then they'll like go off path and they're like doing this other thing or whatever. And they're like, oh, I've like left Trust Intuition. And I'm like, no, your intuition's guiding you on something. And they always come back at some point and they're like, oh, I don't feel called to do that anymore. I'm like, this is what happens, right? So the labels, yeah, are good for understanding. And if you feel called to learn more about it and find people who teach on that subject and, you know, all of that, like, go into it, right? Because they're, you know, like, when I say, like, who really knows? Like, I'm not being ignorant or anything like that. I'm just like, everything that is on this planet, whether it is a book, a card, a university, a university degree paper, a video, a course, anything, anything, a phone, a table, a chair, a salt lamp, a whatever, that came from somebody's idea. Sure, it came from source, God, whatever you want to call it. Sure, it came from that. But at the end of the day, it's channeled through somebody. Somebody has said, oh, that's a great idea. And they're like, oh my God, that fully resonates with my soul. And they've created it. And here we have the world. And the world is made up of ideas that people have put into creation, into reality. That's it. So be very discerning about what feels right for you. Like I said, like, learn it all. And it might really resonate and you're like the 3D, the 5D, the 8D, the 12 dimensions, like all of that, like that really comes into a place of understanding that at the end of the day, everything that was put on this planet, any book that was written by whoever it was written by, whenever it was written by, has channeled through somebody. Okay? So I know it's a really roundabout, you know, answer to, you know, what's happening with 5D and stuff. Like, you know, there's a lot of different stories out there. Like, are we ascending? Maybe. I personally like to believe more so that we're awakening. I do not believe that God and heaven are like up there and we're going to reach up there. I'm like, it's time to come down to earth. It's time to be the heaven on earth, because nobody is coming to save us. Nobody is coming to save us. Whilst we wait around for whoever it is outside of us to come to save us, we sit in powerlessness and the world continues to roll into chaos. The more we can stand up, take radical responsibility for our reality, the more we're going to change the world. Yeah? So a lot of people believe that we're ascending because we're going into spacecrafts and the Pleiadians are coming down and the ship's going to land and God's coming and Jesus is coming and all these people are coming. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they've been saying this for centuries. And for me personally, I'm like, if that feels right for you, I'm like, please trust your intuition. Right? Please trust intuition and go and share this on the internet with your tribe, because people are waiting to hear your message. The people that are here trying to tell me that God or Jesus is my answer and that I need to convert, I'm like, please, can you please go and find your tribe? Because there are people out there, if you get on your Facebook and your live stream and your Instagram and your social media platforms and speak your heartfelt truth, I guarantee you your tribe are waiting for you to please speak and guide them through this time in our life. If you're on my feed and my page and trying to tell me that God and Jesus is the answer, I'm not the person you have to convert. Your tribe is waiting for you, and the more people that step up in your purpose to speak your truth, people are hungry for this. Like I said at the start of this live stream, there are people that are unconscious and starting to wake up to what's going on in the world, and they're like, you know, they're waking up out of that narcissistic relationship. They realize they're in this abusive relationship, but they don't know how to get out. And there are people waiting for you to get on your social media and voice your truth to the people that are waiting to hear from you. I guarantee if you start getting up and speaking consistently about your heart and soul's passion, you will attract people who are ready to hear your message, because that's God's waiting for you to do that. Yeah? So when we're talking about ascending into 5D, or the ships are coming to land, or whoever's coming to save us, I'm like, while you're sitting there waiting for another 5 years, our kids and everything is going to be stuck in the virtual reality world, and you're going to be like, but there's coming to save us. Now, I understand this might be really triggering some people. I am so passionate about this, because when you have something to say, the world needs to hear it. Not the person on the street, not the person that you run across their Facebook and you're like, you're doing it wrong. I'm like, guys, get on live stream on your page and speak your heart and soul, and people are waiting to hear from you. Yeah. So going back to the 5D ascension, I'm like, yeah, some people believe that we're ascending to higher vibrations and all of that. And hey, again, maybe we are. Maybe the Earth's vibration is shifting. Maybe, you know, all of this in the solar system or the flat Earth or whatever you believe, maybe there is an awakening happening. Maybe something is happening. At the end of the day, you're being guided in your life purpose in some way, shape, or form to preach and teach and share your message about what your soul is like busting forth to say. And if you're confused about what that is, just see what you're like commenting on everyone's posts, or everyone you speak to, you're like, but this and this and this, like that's your message. Yeah? So again, I know it's like a roundabout sort of answer around, you know, the 5D ascension, and, you know, like I again, maybe we are, and trust your intuition, but again, don't get attached to the labels. Yeah, because, you know, it's beautiful to have something to believe in. Again, you know, come back to your heart and your soul. So there's a lot of comments now, of course, after I've been talking for a bit. And so I'm just going to scroll through and see what intuitively comes out now. Okay, so yeah, so definitely about your anger. It's a trigger. It's, you know, and that's why a lot of people on my feed or, you know, on my other live stream and stuff, they're like, angry. And I'm like, man, like how is you like being angry at somebody gonna like change? It doesn't change anything. It's just creating more violence. It's just creating more violence. And, you know, like there's so many, I don't understand. Like, I have no problem with religion if that's your thing. I'm just not religious myself, but I believe in a God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in Mary. I believe in all the things. But I don't subscribe to like hating on other people for not doing it. Like that doesn't make any logical sense to me, right? And something I just want to voice now as well, and it seems like we're talking about it, there was a lot of people commenting like, you need Jesus to save you. And I'm like, save me? I'm like, oh guys, come on, like this saving thing I just said, right? But then the other thing, when I was contemplating it, and again, all this information drops in when I'm like thinking about all this stuff. And I was like, they're like, this is the devil, and this is like, you know, Satan. And I'm like, yeah, like this is what I was talking about on my live stream, but maybe you didn't hear what I was showing on my live stream, whatever. And at the end of the day, the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call it, and then God is like on the other end of the spectrum. Now, I'm passionate about dark and light and everything in the spectrum. There's daytime in one side of the world and there's nighttime in another side of the world. At the moment, we live in a 3-dimensional reality and there's duality. That is the reality that we live in. There is dark and there's light. There's devil and there's God. There's, you know, like there's hot and there's cold. Like that's the reality we live in. And in between hot and cold, there's all different degrees of the spectrum between hot and cold. God for me is on one end of the spectrum, and the devil and Satan is on one end of the spectrum. God could be light and the devil is dark. And when we really realize that, we realize why they're fighting. Oh, because they're on the spectrum. And I'm just going to sit back over here and watch the whole spectrum and just hold it all. Yeah, that's where I come from. It's my gift. Okay. So yeah, and so a lot of people commenting on my tattoos. I did do a live stream a little while ago, specifically on all my tattoos. So if you'd like that, comment tattoo below and I shall send you the direct link to watch that or listen, because it's long again. It's a lot of meaning to them. A lot of people are saying they're hijacked and the symbols and stuff. And yeah, I was very aware of the consciousness of the symbols and what people are saying about all the symbols. And people will be like, but it's true. And I'm like, maybe, but this is what it means to me, and this is the power that I give it, and this is what feels right for me. And I still got the tattoos even though I knew all that, because I don't subscribe to labels and judgments and symbolism. It's the devil. And I'm like, it's here and I hold it all. Yeah, I love it all, the dark and the light. That's why I can hold a lot of people through a lot of darkness. That's why all the projection of like the anger or you're doing it wrong, or these keyboard warriors. I'm like, if I saw you on the street, would you walk up to me and like scream in my face and tell me like everything's wrong? Like, would you really do that? I don't think so. 99% of them, I doubt, would do that. They might look at me and walk past and go, blah, 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 blah. Would you actually come right up to my face and say what you say? I don't think so. I doubt it. So be mindful about the keyboard warriors. And the other thing, as we've learned with domestic violence and narcissism, do not engage, because you're only feeding the cycle and they will not hear you anyway until they are ready to listen. Yeah. Okay. So scanning through these comments, I really wanted to answer like all the comments, but there's a lot here. So I'm just scanning through, seeing what jumps out. Is it the same for manifesting a relationship? Yes. Everything I've said about manifesting or creating the life that you want, journal it in. I would not be where I am today if I was not journaling every single day. I'll be releasing some things over the next couple of weeks about like manifesting and journal prompts, like affirmations that I have used to be able to get where I am getting. Get to where I am, like the exact ones that I've used and the processes, and you know, like just you can journal anything into reality. Yeah, the same process, stuff will come up because your brain and your subconsciously, but this is not how it is. Like, yeah, you're dreaming, that's not the reality. Like, you're just going to be conscious of all these parts talking to yourself, right? Yeah. Yeah, so awesome. How does the internal compass work? How can I make it in sync with all of me? Yeah, so basically, and it's in the meditation that I've got there, it's in the training videos that I've got there, in the Clear and Activate pack that I mentioned. But basically, the internal compass is north, south, east, west. I'm getting my directions right now. The above and the below. So there's 6 points. And those 6 points like create almost like I think it's like an octagon. It's like 2 pyramids, if you may. Like if you think of those points, it's going to make an octagon. Like, yeah, so north, south, east, west. So it's like out here, it's above you and below you, and it's in front of you and behind you. And basically internal compass point meets in your body somewhere, and just see where it sits in your body. It can be a certain color. It can be a, you know, like a color of light, or it could be like whatever color comes to you. It could be white, could be blah, blah, blah. And so the internal compass can heal you, and it also can, like, you can direct it to a part of your body. So if you've got a headache, or if you've got a sore shoulder or leg or something, you can, like, you know, just close your eyes, imagine those points, and imagine that, you know, them all sort of coming into your body, and then sort of directing that where you need it to go. Or you can ask the internal compass to go where you need it most. That is also awesome protection, guys. So if you're feeling like vulnerable or needing to clear your energy or be in, like you're going to be in a negative environment or something like that, activate your internal compass. How do we activate it? We simply think about it. Done. See how simple this is? I'm really passionate about making tools that work, because when you like walk into a shop and you're doing a thing and then you get harassed by somebody, you can just think of your internal compass like ding, and it's on. Okay, using my actual meditation, and it's 6 minutes long, right? You can plug it in and you can fall asleep to it. You can do whatever you want, like multitask, right? Do it while you're listening to it, while you're doing the dishes, for goodness sake. Like your subconscious is listening, right? And like that is like a protection. You can imagine it as a white light, colored light, whatever whatever color you want. And then it also heals you and guides you. So if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling confused, if you're feeling all of that thing, just internal compass and or listen to my meditation to do it for you. I was going to say something. So awesome question about that. It's very powerful to help, sort of guide you. If you activate it every morning, you know that you're on the right path with every choice that you make, every, direction you take. Now, just a little side note, it doesn't have to be true north, true south, true east, true west. When you activate it, it can be your own directions of like whatever comes up for you. Like, do you know what I mean? So your north might feel more right to be here rather than true north. And just, I wanted to say that as well. Doing the dishes while watching me. Awesome. See, this is what I mean. Like multitask. Okay. Like I said, a lot of my videos, a lot of my content is long. But multitask listening, we're going to absorb everything. And if you want to grow in consciousness, like there's ways to do it while you're multitasking, because, our mind's going like this anyway. We might as well be training it. That's why like listening to positive affirmations, all those sorts of things this is what I spoke about on the last live stream, right? Like whatever you're listening to, like, hearing, reading, whatever, it's imprinting you in some way, shape or form. Okay. And that's the other thing, by the way, like just a little side note, like the people who like are hating on my live stream and stuff, and I'm like, dude, like if you don't like it, why are you watching? Like it always like fascinates me. I'm like, guys, if you do not like what I'm saying and you hate it, or like, why would you continue watching something that you dislike? Again, it makes no logical sense. Just saying. So Jane says, I actually feel like I've been going through a shift. It's been horrible the last 2 days. This past week has been a very heavy portal. Even last night, like I was having quite a lot of visions going to sleep. I spoke to 2 other people. They also had it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because we've just shifted out of like, like that really heavy energy over the weekend and everything that happened. There's like portals of windows of time. And I've started to really notice it, and like, hey, these are just my observations, right? When it's like super windy, like ridiculously windy outside, like you go outside and you're like, it's really windy today. Like I've noticed that sometimes, not always, sometimes the wind feels different. And it makes me wonder if that's like a portal shift, right? And it was really windy yesterday. I had lots of visions going to sleep last night, and then 2 other people said the same thing to me, and I hadn't even mentioned anything to them. And then the energy sort of feels better today. And it's kind of like, if we look through like leaving a heavy dark portal and then feeling better today, it's interesting, right? And this is where, again, I teach you to trust your intuition, to be aware of this stuff, to really pay attention. And the north, south, east, west, the above and the below, like getting your compass correct. Again, it doesn't have to be true north, just understanding your energy out here, behind you, to the sides of you, above and below you. You strengthen this energy field, and you start to be more conscious of when energy lands on you. Like, are you taking on somebody's energy? Are you like carrying somebody? Is it you? Like, is it your emotions, or is it someone else you're feeling? And then you get a text message from them and you have a phone call and you're like, wow, I was actually thinking about that before they called, and so you're picking up other people's energy all the time. So the more you can train your energy, your intuition, all the spiritual practices, or praying to God, or whatever it is that you do, right? Like whatever makes you strong, do more of that, because then you become more conscious of your energy and yourself, and you're able to pick up this information, right? So yeah, so there's definitely a lot of people coming into, you know, more awareness. And the more we can do this, the more we do this, the more we get conscious of this. Sorry, I got distracted by this God person on this live stream. Like I said, I have no problem with people who are religious, but you're going to come on my live stream and like say all this stuff. I'm like, dude, just go and do your own live stream and talk to the people who want to listen to you, because that's what I'm doing. And I'm not sure why you're here. If you don't like, why are you watching if you do not like it? Logical sense. A lot of this stuff, a lot of intuition is common sense. And we're taught from a very young age that common sense is not okay. If you think about it, a lot of us are, you know, taught that intuition and our feelings are not okay. Yeah? Beautifully answered and approached. Lovely. Thank you so much, Dana Murder. I love you so much. Hello to all you beautiful people joining me live. I am seeing you, and I really trying to answer as many questions as I can on here. Just be reachable and teachable, open for change, grow a garden, it's therapeutic, and you get free food. Yes, I've really put energy into my garden over the last month, about months to 6 weeks. I've been like, right, if you want a garden, Hannah, you need to like make time for this. So by the way, guys, let's speak about this for a minute. People are like, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time. You repeating that is an affirmation. You're going to find you won't have time, right? I always have more time than I realize. I'm creating more time. I have more time than I realize. Like, oh, I have time to do things. I create time to do things. We will always find something to, you know, like we will always do something if it's really important to us. I find for me personally, I do something if I understand the why. Why am I doing this, right? Why am I putting time and energy? Why am I creating time to put into a garden? Because at the end of the day, I could sit here all day on my computer and like, I don't have time for a garden. And I'm like, actually, I choose to create that because I want food to be able to eat, especially with the world stuff. Who knows what's coming up? So yeah, so Kyle says, who invented the Kabbalah? I would have to Google that, to be honest. I don't know. Is Google going to tell us the truth? I think Google tells us what we want to hear at the moment. For a long time, actually. So just back to that for a moment, when Vania said, just be reachable and teachable, open for change. I'm like, yeah, and that's what the people need right now, right? Like that's, you know, like I said, these people that are just waking up, there's a lot of them, and over the next 5 to 7 to 10 years, there's going to be more, and we're going to need to have an open heart to catch them. Yeah. So yeah, love that. Love that. There is no light without darkness, and there is no darkness without light. I would like to add to that, definitely. In this dimension, 100%, yeah? They all have purpose, and gifts come from both. Yes, definitely, definitely, definitely. If God is everything, then the devil is also part of him. Exactly, yes. Exactly. Rachel's so glad that she found this. So awesome. Yes, so awesome. Disengage. Exactly, right? Exactly. Dana Murder says, that was so graceful. Hannah, total respect. Thank you. Vania says, I feel like I need to stay away from religion. It's everywhere, on every corner here in the south of Florida, USA. It handicaps you. It's a scary book, not for me. I don't know why people think it's helpful. It's prepping you for the end of the world. Yeah, well, that concept in itself is interesting. Who wrote the Bible? And I'm sure people will be able to tell me who wrote it. And I'm like, and where did that information come from? Oh, it came from such and such. And I'm like, and where did that information come from? Right? So a little side note, if you want to play a little game and do some research on things, trace your family tree back through the generations and see how far you get back before it stops. See how far back through your generational lineage, what do you get to 2 generations, 5 generations, 7 generations? Like how far back can you actually go back and come back and tell me? Yeah, I'm curious about that. Anyway, so why do people think it's helpful? It's prepping you for the end of the world. I just want to believe we will evolve out of it. It can be used for evil depending on who's deciphering it. Exactly. That goes for any book. That goes for any interpretation of anything at all on this planet. Again, this is why I'm like, trust what you feel is right for you. Yeah, I can't reiterate that enough. Yeah. Jacqueline says, I just don't feel like doing anything. So the thing about life purpose is sometimes we do not always want to do what our purpose is guiding us to do. Sometimes we know we need to exercise and we don't feel like it. And we can be like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like writing that blog. I don't feel like getting on that live stream. I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like eating that healthy food. I don't feel like, and the 12 divine steps to awakening your life purpose. I just did divine step number 11 yesterday in the Reality Awareness support group on Facebook. I've done one a month this year. All the replays are there. You can jump in that group and find them. Really, really helpful. Number 6 of awakening your life purpose is discipline. Turning up to do what you know is good for you, even when you don't feel like it. When we exercise and we don't feel like it, it gives us energy. It shifts out stagnant energy. It changes our brain chemistry and we feel better. Yeah. Another aspect to I just don't feel like doing anything. Sometimes our body is full of viruses that we are unaware of. Sometimes people get misdiagnosed with things like, fibromyalgia or all sorts of diagnostics. Medical medium I find is really awesome. His healing protocols I've done a lot of different healing protocols over the years. Food, diet, this, raw, vegan, whatever. Medical medium, really current for today's thing. So sometimes our body is full of viruses and it makes us tired. Yeah, so there's a couple of factors there. We do need to clean our body on a regular basis. Our liver is our filter. And our liver is, gets clogged so easily just by fats and toxins and all sorts. And we're absorbing that all the time, even if we live in the country, right? Our house, our paint, our clothes, it's everywhere, right? And the way that we're going to get through this is with a healthy body. So cleaning your liver is like cleaning the filter in your car. If you didn't do that, eventually it would stop. And if we look after it, it looks after us, yeah? So just little things there to sort of check in with. Jacqueline says, I don't want to be here, but know where to go. Yes, so awesome to be able to clear energy. Again, when we feel like that, go for a walk outside, sit in nature. It's a scientific proven fact that if we sit, we don't even have to walk right around or exercise outside. Like listening and being outside to nature sounds resets, like for 2 hours. If we're in nature for 2 hours, even just sitting out there, right? Changes our energy, it resets our energy field. So if you're in a cold climate or something like that, sometimes that's not really practical. So listening to nature sounds, ocean, whale sounds, dolphins, listening to that resets your frequency as well. Yeah, so that sort of thing can help too. Where is a good place to find affirmations to listen to? So I'm going to release something over the coming weeks of all the affirmations that I've, used to get to where I am today. But for now you can always Google positive affirmation, like Louise Hay, so louisehay.com. If you just Google Louise Hay affirmations, she's actually got a specific affirmation site. They're awesome to start with. There are so many affirmations out there that you can always Google and stuff like that. I'm sure there's lots of audios you could find as well. But yeah, I love Louise Hay stuff. It's simple. It's very powerful. All is well. I am, everything I need comes to me. I'm safe. I'm supported. It's very simple, but so powerful. So yeah, definitely Louise Hay would be a good starting point. And then yeah, keep an eye out for the ones I release soon as well. Sonia says, feeling like I'm alone even at work. Yeah, that's a big one as well. Definitely inner child work is the biggest thing. If you feel alone, your inner child is usually the one who's really feeling alone. That feeling alone can also be a disconnect from your heart and your soul. So if you're in an environment, relationship or situation that you know you need to leave or change in some way, shape or form, or just also like self-care, yeah? Sometimes feeling alone is because we've just been giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and we're just empty and we're disconnected from self. So sometimes reversing and doing the things you love, sometimes we forget what we even love doing. We've sort of moved away from ourselves so much. So the simple things, if you think back 5, 10, 20 years ago when you were happy, what were you doing? What were you doing different back then? Hobbies, that sort of thing compared to now, and start there. Yeah. How is your health related to all of this? Does your health get affected with different energy that you hold? I want to say yes, definitely. I'm just going to shut this window, because even though I've got fly screens, the bugs still come in out here. Then there's bugs everywhere, and I'm like, seeing some of my previous live streams, and then like there's this whole space in this whole room, and the bug will like find this place here, and I'm like, why am I nose? There's all this space, right? I'm like, anyway, just had to shut the window. Okay, so health, definitely. So our health is also affected by our thoughts to start with. You know, so if we're thinking positive, it starts to change our chemistry in our body. We're made up of water and fluids. And if you guys have heard of Dr. Masaru Emoto, I think is how you pronounce his name. If you Google Emoto, so like emotion, but Emoto, water crystals. If you haven't seen his work, please dive into that a little bit. That is like scientific proven facts that our thoughts affect the crystals of the water. So he did like this study, just in brief, he did a study, basically put like 2 bits of water in the freezer with a piece of paper underneath it, and one said I love you and one said I hate you, froze the crystals, pulled them out, put it under a microscope, and you can see the crystals. One looks like a beautiful snowflake in the I love you, and the one that says I hate you looks like a cancer cell, right? You know how we've sort of seen that around. It looks like that. That's water. Apparently we're made up of 70 or 90% water or fluid, something like that, right? There's a exact number, whatever. It's a high percentage. What we think affects our body, yeah? So definitely start with positive affirmations, yeah? So when we look at that question for Tina, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, how is health related to all of this? Does your health get affected with different energy that you hold? 100% yes. If we're thinking negatively, if we're carrying resentment, anger, trauma, that festers in our body until we do something about it. This is what I teach in Trust Your Intuition, is the tools to unpack that. Because something simple as when you were 2 to 3 years of age and your mum went around and put your sibling in the car, and all of a sudden mum's not there, but she just walked around the other side of it. That creates an abandonment trauma, and it sits in our energy field, and we walk through life with that, and all these situations like reflect that like mum disappearing for a minute, and we're like, we froze as this little toddler like at the car that we can't see around the side. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these little things affect. When I talk about trauma, sure, there's massive trauma stuff and there's little trauma things. And it's so important to know how to unpack those things so that we're not carrying it and repeating the patterns and repeating the patterns and repeating the patterns, right? So that's exhausting, and it gets to a point where we're ready to change that, but it takes work. It's hard. There's tears. There's facing reality. I won't lie. It's not easy. That's why a lot of people don't do it. Yeah. So it definitely affects you with your health and the energy that you hold. Also, the foods you eat also hold different vibrations. Now, I'm not like, you have to eat vegan and you have to do this. Like, I don't care what you eat. I want you to trust your intuition about what you're being guided to eat, okay? It does get to a point where we also need to cleanse our body, because we are constantly taking in toxins and chemicals with the foods and the packages, and even like fruit and veggies is like plastered with chemicals and stuff. Like, we just need to clean our body. Like, you can do detoxes and then go back to eating normal. Like, clean your filter. Yeah. So it definitely affects. Yeah, definitely affects. Okay. So just checking these comments. So lovely to have you all here. Yes, self-discipline is very important. Yeah, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And sometimes we like drag our feet. I'm like, An awesome tool that I love to use and recommend with so many of my clients and tribe is on our phone, we have a timer. And you can set a timer for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever. If you do not feel like doing something, set a timer. It could be the dishes. It could be exercise. It could be folding, washing, I don't know, whatever you don't feel like doing in the moment, even the things you know you have to do. Set a timer, and just for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Usually 15 minutes good, because what you have to remember is when you start something, there's like 10 minutes of distractions. This is such an important piece to remember. If you're sitting there meditating, you're like, it doesn't work, because you're like thinking about this and then you're fidgeting and you're like, I don't know, my mind just doesn't stop. By the way, you're not supposed to stop your mind when you're meditating. You become the observer of all the chaos in your mind. And then over time, your meditation practice, there's more and more space in between the thoughts. Just little side note. But setting a timer for whatever you don't feel like doing, like 10 minutes, like, okay, 10 minutes, cool, just do the thing for 10 minutes. Even if you're like fixing up the desk for like 10 minutes, like, is the timer done yet? Okay, I'll do a little, okay, now I have to keep tidying up. Okay, I'll just do a little bit more. Like, there is like 10 minutes of distractions, like usually, okay, sometimes we're like straight into it. Sometimes there's a lot of resistance to it. And then it sort of like kicks into this flow, and after the timer goes off, sometimes we're like, oh, well, I just want to keep writing now, or I want to keep doing this, or I feel like cleaning this room as well now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it takes a bit. Or exercise, we're like, actually, I want to keep going. And some days we're like, cool, timer's gone off, I'm done. Timer is an awesome way to, what's the word? Embody discipline, strengthen the discipline muscle. That's the word I was looking for. It's a muscle, yeah? Anything you begin as a muscle, it's a skill. Always remember that, okay? Always remember that. Okay. Listening to the birds outside your house. Yeah, there's a lot of bird life here. A lot of wildlife, I should say, in general. I'm very grateful for that. What do you think about timelines and time travel? I believe they are real. I believe that we live in a multi-dimensional universe. I believe that, I want to say Matrix style, but not, like it is and it isn't. It is what we make it, definitely. There's definitely portals, there's definitely realms, there's definitely all sorts of things. That's why we do need to be mindful when we do explore this stuff and have our toolkit to know what we're dealing with and what we're, like, that's really important, because, when we start to sense things, we do sense dark things and light things, because that exists. But I do believe all of that sort of stuff exists. I do believe, and I did share this on my live stream a little bit, the last one, and then on my weekly energetic forecast that I did on Sunday last week, or did I do it Monday morning? I started talking about time travel. It was Monday morning, my time. I opened the live stream talking about time travel, so you can go and find that as well. I do believe it is a thing. I believe we already do it. Like, we're on either sides of the world at the moment, and I'm going into nighttime, you guys are coming into daytime, like I'm ahead of you, you're not, like it's like we're already in time travel. We get on a plane, we arrive at a different place in a different time location, even though it's on the world. It's still time travel. We just don't, it's normal for us. And that's an interesting concept, that we've been programmed that level of time travel is normal for us. So what else is normal for us? I would like to add for you to explore with your intuition to show you. Yeah. Sonia says, thank you. Yes, I have stopped doing all the things I like as close friends. I'm no longer single. I have to take the step and be brave to do them on my own. Yes. And that's really empowering. Scary, but empowering. And we get to change our life when we do that too. And it opens up new avenues and new doorways. And who knows who we're going to meet in those new realms. Yeah, new realities we create. So Brandy says, this has all made my day to find your live, first time ever. Welcome. welcome, welcome, welcome. So Katie says, just checking this out. If while I'm meditating and I begin to go in and out of a vision due to fear, because I feel this presence, what does that mean? It's like a scary presence, but at the same time, part of it isn't scary, part of it is peace. So what you have to remember is when we meditate, it strengthens our intuitive abilities. That's what it does, right? It strengthens us. Our intuition is a muscle. Just like going to the gym, it's a muscle, yeah? And the more we do it, the stronger we get. The more we meditate, the more our energy gets stronger. And it's important because when we've got strong energy, when we're strong, we can fight off the bad guys, right? When our energy's strong, we can fight off the bad guys. Very important to realize, right? When, when you say you see the visions and part of it is scary, but part of it is at peace, I want to like bet in a way, because when you say part of it's scary, but part of it is peace, that's sort of my signal that the only thing scary about it correct me if I'm wrong, is that you don't know what to do with that vision. You don't know what it's supposed to be, or it's turning up and you're like, whoa, hang on a sec, like, okay, but it feels all right, but what was that? And sometimes we like have a vision, we're like trying to latch onto it, and we're like seeing it, and we're like, oh damn it, I want to see more, and then it doesn't turn up because we're trying. It's so annoying when we're starting to learn this stuff. I remember that so clearly. The point that I'm sharing that, in a sense, is when we're first opening to this stuff or strengthening our gifts purposely, our visions get stronger, our feelings get stronger, our connection gets stronger, everything gets stronger because it's a muscle. And it's just learning what to do with that. So what I like to recommend, you know, if something does feel scary, it's like, you know, or a being turns up or whatever, you're like, are you of 100% light? Are you of 100% light? Are you of 100% light? Like, first thing, I do not communicate unless it's of 100% light. Usually if you ask 3 times, if it's not, it disappears. If it stays, then you can communicate. Some people don't agree with the archangels. I always say, whatever spirit guide I'm talking to, of 100% light. Sometimes you can use Archangel Michael of 100% light as an intermediary, okay, or whatever spirit guide you use. At the same time, all 100% light, okay? The other piece with that is that over time, when you strengthen your gift and your intuition, like usually in the start, we use the archangels or a spirit guide or anything like that to help us. Then it gets to a point where we sense with our intuition straight away whether it's 100% light or not, and we know what to do. Again, these are skills. We can just be a swimmer and we know how to swim in the ocean or a pool, or we can train to be an Olympic swimmer and be really good at our skills with swimming. Intuition and your spiritual gifts and learning psychic development is exactly the same. We learn, you know, we can just sense stuff and have visions every now and again, and yeah, cool. Sweet. But maybe you don't have to, right? But maybe you want to actually learn how, you know, and you might learn these skills and become an Olympic swimmer of your intuition. It doesn't mean you have to step into being a healer. It doesn't mean you have to do, but you just understand yourself more. You understand your gift more. You understand your energy more. And the reality is that you probably help people anyway at the end of the day, because we usually do. Yeah. You're so welcome, Katie. So Gary says, it's just a feeling both dark and light at the same time when we go into the meditation. Yes. Connection closer to the other frequency. Yes, definitely. Again, yeah. And this is why, you know, when I was saying earlier on the live stream, if your intuition is guiding you to understand more about 3D, 5D, ascension, or a topic of animal spirit guides, or whatever the story is, like whatever you're interested in, let yourself learn about it. Like, I am so passionate about immersion learning. Like, we as a human being are designed to immerse ourselves in something until we understand it. We are trained as a society to sit here for 5 minutes at school and do this subject. And then, hang on, we're going to switch to this subject. And then we're going to switch to this subject. And then we're going to have lunch. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do another 5 subjects. And then you have to do homework on all these different subjects again. Like, that is so far from how we actually learn. It's like totally at the other end of the scale. So when you let yourself fully learn something and immerse something, even if people are judging you for it, like just let yourself absorb it. You learn it, right? And then you become, I don't know what the right words are, like you just understand yourself more, you understand energy more, or whatever it is that you're learning about. And like I said earlier, then you might be like, yeah, that doesn't interest me anymore. And so then you like come into a place of like, you know, okay, cool. And it's not that you don't like it anymore. So for example, me with the Reiki, you know, like years ago, or whatever else I've learned along the way, like I've done a lot of different modalities. And over the years, all those modalities have led me to be an intuitive healer, life purpose activator, that I train intuitive healers to become a certified intuitive healer and life purpose activator. And the point of that is because then you're intuitive and you allow your intuition to guide you to learn whatever it is, put all your skills together and awaken your life purpose. Like, that's like how it happens. People look for their life purpose, but the reality is you have to trust intuition to bring something to the planet that is not yet here. A lot of people don't trust themselves enough to do that. training, you know, like school training, childhood upbringing, past life holding you back, etc., etc., right? When we start to unpack all of this and, you know, like shift all of that, we become clearer and we understand our purpose more. That's how it works, yeah? So it's always evolving, but also every skill that you've learned along the way is creating this thing that you do. Yeah, always remember that, okay? So David says, what are your thoughts of some people have been together? Some people have life. Okay. What are your thoughts of some people have life be together for a lifetime, some suffering harder than others? What thoughts? For example, some people have marriage for life and have financial freedom, be married for 50 years and marriage, have grandchildren, great-grandchildren, with family, but others go through life, no parents, marriage, falls apart, struggle emotionally, alone, single, parent. Yeah, good question. What is thoughts about this? Why does life go well for others but struggle with life? Good question. Good question. That's almost like, why is there violence in the world? You know, like, yeah, I mean, there's lots of different scenarios that I could sort of answer for that. At the end of the day, I think that there's, what I'm about to say is like trust intuition over what I say. They say that there is a life path that we choose in our soul's evolution. Who's they? Again, this is why I'm like, is this really? I don't know. At the end of the day, that person on some level has chosen to be married for 50 years and have family and grandchildren, and like that on some level they've chosen that. And the people who are single and go through domestic violence and whatever, I want to say on some level they've chosen that. At the same time, like, they don't choose abuse and stuff. Like, you know, there's a little bit of spiritual bypassing narcissistic stuff with what I'm saying. There's levels to it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I don't agree that people should be in domestic violence, etc. Did they choose that? Fuck no, right? On some soul level, for some soul lesson, did they choose that? Well, some people say that, right? But at the end of the day, why the fuck is there violence? You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's a little bit like, yeah, why is that? You know, and if we really look at society and the way society is set up, and you know, it's kind of like, oh, it's easy for the people who take care of us in the world to spend trillions of dollars on something for our health that gets inserted into our bodies just like that in 18 months or 2 years, and like, here, let's pump this out. But there's still poverty, and there's still domestic violence, and there's still homelessness, and there's still famine. And you have to ask why. And I think we all know why. And that's why I'm here to change the world, by the way. But we can all see that. Yeah? Tony says, what's this about? This is a question and answer. Ask me anything live stream. Katie says, oh my God, you're amazing. You've literally helped me so much. Oh, so glad. That's what I'm here for. Vania says, and it's hard when you don't have support. I know. Trust me. I'm like the queen of no support over the years. I've worked hard to shift those beliefs, to shift that reality, and to start letting in support. People who've been through a hard life, trauma, etc., do struggle with even receiving support and help. And again, this is where I help my clients as well to be able to shift those hard, stuck beliefs, because we're so good at doing it on our own. Trust me, I'm very well aware of that. So Vania says, and it's hard when you don't have support. Everyone tells you to hunker down and prepare for war. Here they're prepping. We just gave everything away and sold our home. We're 8 days to signing the sale. We learned to let go and be brave, traveling, meeting new people, seeing places, change the kids' future. Love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So good. Yeah, and this is a choice that we make, right? We're like just going, and I want to say like we're very in synchronistic flow when we're like that too. So yeah. Critical thinking was taken out of school. Definitely. We're all different, but together we each teach each other and activate each other's talents. Exactly. We're all reflections of each other's. Einstein said the measure of intelligence is not knowledge, it's imagination. And I always say, like, people are like, I don't know if the meditation's working. I feel like I'm just imagining it. I'm like, good, because your imagination is the seed of your intuition. Do not shut that door. That's why, you know, with children, like, again, we're trained in a society to shut down our imagination. Don't think for yourself here. This is what you have to do, right? So people end up out of school and they're like, I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do, right? That's why people in society with today's, like, they're just trained from a very early age, right? And it takes a lot to untrain somebody. If they're, you know, I want to say, if somebody's willing to change, it can happen very fast, by the way. So yes. Gary says, it's our soul's journey, mate. We have multiple lives, all learning. Yes, that's definitely a belief system. Gary says, we don't choose, we get given different paths to learn. Yes, again, that's a different belief system. So Tony says, speak to God and find answers, not a human being. Yes, I speak to God all the time. Leanne says, and there's so much more than famine and poverty than the other. Exactly right, exactly. So Moo says, I recently discovered new ways to correct my nervous system. Awesome. When I get anxious, I didn't know how body's nervous system react and bounce off each other. This is so important to learn. I love that you're learning this stuff. I found that I was too anxious to relax into meditating and I couldn't figure it out, and I'd been meditating for many years. One thing I've learned is to put legs up and bum up against the wall for 20 minutes. Oh my gosh. Afterwards, I feel really weird, but good. Yes. And now to relax, I start with 10 minutes, my nervous system correction, the meditation. Okay, awesome. Sorry, little side note, didn't tell you guys. Some of you guys know. So I had my spiritual awakening in 2005. I've been doing this work ever since then. In 2006, I started yoga classes and I went to Ashtanga yoga. That's like one of the strongest yogas you can ever do. I highly recommend if your mind does not stop. If I did not practice and I was like fully committed, like it was just easy with my work where I was working in Brisbane City at the time at a menswear store selling Hugo Boss suits, and I was learning this stuff. I took a year-long course when I was in 2005 and I was like doing this, and I was like, then I started yoga classes and I committed. I was like 3 times a week straight after, because I worked in the city, so it was easy to leave work and walk straight into yoga class. 3 times a week I did Ashtanga yoga for 18 months. And I say it with 18 months because I was at that job for 18 months, right? And then after that, I moved to the Gold Coast, had my daughter, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, a little life story for you. But the point is that yoga taught me how to meditate. I'm a very highly connected person. Maybe I've got ADHD, I've never been diagnosed, never even really thought that. But when I've learned over the years, I'm like, maybe I do. I go. It's always too much for people, right? I channel a lot of stuff. I'm very connected, right? Without strong Ashtanga yoga, I wouldn't have been able to meditate. A guided meditation, I could sit there and listen to it, but still my meditation, dreaming. Yoga taught me to meditate. So if you're struggling, or like, you know, again, find what works. Maybe yoga is not your thing. Hey, the side note, first yoga class, or a couple of them, because I had 3 different teachers, right, that I went to different classes over the week. And one of them, I could barely understand her, and she would teach, like, she would speak the Sanskrit all through class. And I'm like, you know, like stretching, and I'm like sort of like looking around. I'm like, am I hearing her correctly? I'm like, am I doing it? I'm like, what the fuck is she saying? Like, do you know what I mean? Like it takes time. This is like I was saying, like the 10 minutes to get into it. You're learning new skills. Like it takes time to adjust to something new, right? But you can train yourself to do anything, just like humans are trained to do anything. Okay, you can train yourself to do anything, but you must discipline and keep turning up. So important. So where was I going with that? Yes, so yoga taught me to meditate. A strong class was really powerful for me. It just brought me back to center. Again, it taught me how to meditate. If yoga is not your thing, like qigong, like there's so many different practices out there. Maybe those are better for you. Again, find what works for you. If you struggle to meditate, but commit to it and do it regularly for a period of time. I still do yoga, but I don't do it 3 times a week like I used to at this point in time. Always awesome to, like, again, immerse yourself in something, like learn all the skills. And now I've got that skill for life, and I do it fairly regularly, but not consistent 3 times a week, every single week like I used to, yeah? At the time, it felt really right to do that, and it taught me so much. There's like a prime example of immersion learning, right? So Daisy says, I just get sucked in and they love the person more than the abuser and hope they change and they can help them change. Never gonna happen though. Yeah, and that's a big one. That's a whole topic in itself, but it really comes into us stepping into our own boundaries. You know, some people call that the wounded healer. You know, like really, when we want to help someone like that, we have skills to be able to help them. Sometimes they're not the people we need to help though. Sometimes our tribe is waiting for us. Yeah. Carl says, because we are being run by a complete sociopaths. Justin says, you are a light sister. You're helping me right now. Yay. How is a narc a reflection of me? That's a good question, because I've been a narcissist. I've been in narcissist relationships. I've flicked, and someone mentioned it before. I think you just said it then actually. Our nervous systems bounce off each other. The world is a chaotic mess of energy bouncing off each other right now. Like, it's a thing, yeah? And the world bouncing off each other, when we learn, again, this is everything I've been saying on this live stream, when we learn to strengthen our energy, we learn, oh, that's their energy, and we don't bounce. That takes practice and is a skill, yeah? But that's where we get to with that. So when you said, how is a narc a reflection of me? Inside of us, I believe, and again, this is just what I believe, tune into what's right for you. I believe that we have every single part of us on that spectrum that I talk about, the dark and the light, and every piece of the spectrum in between. I believe that we have, you know, like all those parts inside of us. And if we're like in the light, like judging the dark and you're bad, and the dark's over here going, I'm going to suck all your light. Like, that's what's playing out right now. Ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. Like, that's what's happening. And we're just like, I'm exhausted by this. Why does this keep happening? Like, it's a freaking thing, right? It's a thing. When we understand that and we do the work, and there's so many different modalities you can use to grow your consciousness and paths to learn and immerse yourself in and understand skills that's important for you and your purpose. When you step outside of that, you start to integrate all these different parts, right? So if you look at a narcissist, you know, or if we look at a prostitute, for example, right? I'm just going to use that. What we're stepping into here, by the way, is called shadow work. There's many different shadows, there's many different masks, there's many different things, and if we're all part of this, we're all part of it, and we all have these somewhere along the line. Let's take the prostitute example. We think of a prostitute, we think of, you know, sex, all the things, right? Your mind's already gone there, right? Don't have to explain it. When we look at prostituting our energy, this comes back to Dazzy, when you were saying you get sucked in, that you're prostituting your energy. You're giving your energy because you want to help them, right? You want to be loving, you want to be caring, but you're like, oh, it's so draining, but I know I can help them. And, you know, and we're prostituting ourselves. And then the other way of prostituting our energy, right? We don't have to go into the sex and stuff to prostitute our energy. So we're a prostitute when we don't have boundaries, when we're crossing our own value system. So we're like, this doesn't feel right for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. We just prostituted our energy, right? So these sorts of reflections, okay? So, you know, if you've been in a narcissist relationship and you're like, am I a narcissist? Like, I want to say one of the final stages of healing from a narcissistic relationship or any sort of relationship or whatever situation is integrating the shadow of that. There's many different stages of healing for when you're coming out of something, like that's, you know, it's a thing. But at the end of the day, like also the part of, you know, like integrating that aspect is almost like it is the final part of the healing. Yeah. So yeah, there's lots I could talk on that. Hopefully that gives you a bit of insight with that. So Dorian says, maybe going through heartbreak and dark times is to teach us to choose the light and the love through healing and understanding. Yeah, definitely. What a wise friend once said to me, and I was like, stop, it was many years, and I posted on social media about my broken heart. I was so brokenhearted. I was going through like on off with my relationship at the time. As some people have heard lots about that. Another story for another time. But I posted on Facebook something about my broken heart. And he said, I like to say broken open, not broken hearted. And at the time I was like, ugh, whatever. And over the years, it has stuck with me. That piece of gold. You're breaking open, not broken hearted. It is brokenhearted, right? Of course, you're freaking devastated. But at the same time, it's how the light gets in, yeah? Why that has to happen, for that to happen, I don't freaking know. What is with this dimension that we live in, right? For goodness sake. Come on now. Okay. So Dana Murder says, so Gary had said earlier, I'm doing the dishes watching you. I'm like, good. Like multitasking listening is the best because we're just absorbing and we can get shit done at the same time, especially housework. So Dana Murder says, I put them off for ages, but this video gave me good vibrations and found myself doing the dishes before I realized I was doing something I hated. Isn't it interesting, right? I love that so much. See, we just get in a zone and get it done. I love it. Seeing 111 and 222, so definitely angel numbers and messages. I shared about that earlier in the live stream. I've also done a video on that as well, the angel numbers and stuff. There's many different, like the video I'll share with you is a little bit, I would say a little bit old, just I did it a couple of years ago. Since then, there's a lot of angel number books. You can even Google the numbers, like what does 111, 222, like there's a lot of people that have put a lot of content out about it. Again, this is trusting your intuition on the messages that feel right for you. But I did do a live stream on it. Let me see if I can find it and pop it in for you. Let's find your numbers. 111, 222, 444. What are these messages and what do they mean? Let me pop this in for you. Just something else you can listen to while you're multitasking, if you like. I'll just pop that in. Yoga has been calling me. I do my own yoga stretching really, but I do downward dog and tree pose. Yes, maybe not disciplining myself enough. Yeah, setting a timer with yoga is always really helpful for me as well. Yeah. Christy says, I feel like I'm seeing your post for a reason, helping so much and reaffirming things I know deep down. Yes. Still so much work I need to do, but help me to stand strong when I'm feeling beaten down. Thanks, my light sister. That helped. As you were talking, that horrible feeling was filling me and left when I repeated, I am only taking if you're light. How powerful, right? Honestly, best form of protection. All is well, 100% light, 100% light, 100% light. Internal compass. It's so quick to do. You just need to think about it. Our thoughts are powerful, yeah? Leanne says, yes, I wanted the same thing. I found the narc tendencies were directed at myself, not others. Yeah, it's interesting, right? We can even treat ourselves like a narcissist. Heartbreaking to realize the reflections in our reality is actually how we treat ourselves. Huge step into self-love and changing your life when we really realize that people are attacking us are a form of like us attacking ourselves, us like, you know, like just when we can realize that they're parts of ourselves and we need to integrate, or how do I speak to myself like that? Huge reflection, and we're like, okay, this is how nasty I've been to myself lately. Time to be kind. It can be big, yeah? The darkness is setting off everyone's nervous systems. Yeah, exactly, right? The biggest thing we can do is shift out of the flight or fight, for sure. Justin says, like you're talking right to me, full spectrum. Yeah, light and dark is my thing. I've even got it on my number plate. So on my car. Yes, reframing is awesome. Yes, Sean Orsine says, Chiron, the wounded healer. Exactly, a very interesting story myth that I used to strengthen myself after many years of addiction. Yes, it's very powerful. Again, learning these things helps to heal us. Trust the intuition, what you're being guided to absorb, learn all the things, yeah? We're the light to balance out the darkness with our positive nervous system. Exactly, exactly. Yes, lots of numbers there, broken open, for sure. Thanks for reading. Brought a tear to my eye. Yes. Yes, definitely. So Mel says, my mum passed away 12 years ago and I dream of her often. Do you think it's her communicating with me? Because at the end, she always says she has to go now. 100% it is. So in my reality awareness support group on Facebook, I was holding psychic development classes for a little bit there. One of them we did mediumship. If you're not in the reality awareness support group, send me a message. I can send you the link. Not Google it. On Facebook search bar, you can type in reality awareness support group and it'll come up and you can add yourself and I'll let you in. If you let me know, send me a message when you're in there and I'll tag you in the video because there's so much content in there. I'll tag you in the specific mediumship video. It was really, I want to say it's probably one of my best. I've done a lot of mediumship stuff. There's a whole training on it. It's one of my best free mediumship insights, understanding communications, understanding when they turn up, is it them, how to communicate, is it them, why, etc., where do they come from, why do they go, etc. So if you would like me to tag you in there, just add yourself into Reality Awareness Support Group and let me know so I can tag you in it. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff in there. And okay, so Missy says, I've had my share of heartache. I just want to know, will I love again? And who? Can you tell me about my soulmate and who he is? So when you say, I've had my share of heartache, I want to know if I will love again. I want to say yes, you definitely will. But when you've had your share of heartache, the grief that comes with that can take time to heal, and it can take constant time to heal. So usually I say it's about an 18-month grieving cycle when we've come through a breakup or a life change. Something we're crying full stop for 18 months, but it can feel like it. And when I talk about the grief of letting go of a person, it's like that howling grief, like we're like on the kitchen floor, like, or in our bed or whatever, and we're like, that grief that's that deep one where we feel like we can't take another breath, like it's that deep. I call that piercing the veils grief. That is one of the most healing cries that you can ever do. Not many people do that because we're trained that feeling like that is not okay. If you have moments when you drop into grief about something, and it could be triggered by just a general day-to-day thing, right? And you drop into this grief and you're like, why am I crying over this little incident? Like, it's like, can you give yourself permission to just lock yourself in the bedroom or something and just howl? Honestly, it is so healing because most people don't ever let themselves do that. And someone commented on one of my live streams before and said, I disagree with the crying. And I'm like, there's a time and a place for deep grief. There's a time and a place for tears. There's a time and a place for art therapy. There's a time and a place for meditation. There's a time and a place for exercise. There's a time and a place to go into surgery and get a tumor removed. Like there's a time and a place for all of it. And when people come to me, they've usually tried all these modalities and nothing has worked because they're ready to heal deep grief that no one's ever given them permission to cry and grieve from. So if you're like struggling to like find love again and you're still reminiscing on your past loves all the time, it's because you haven't actually grieved them properly. On my page, just in the past few days, I have written a blog called The Most Common Question I Get Asked is How Do I Let It Go? It's got the image of that famous mural of the little girl letting go of the heart balloon. If you scroll down, you read it. Again, it's a very long blog post. If you'll start to get used to my stuff, it's long, right? And you'll find the time when you're ready to listen and absorb and heal, you'll find the time to read it. And I literally go through how to let it go. And it does explain the grieving process because there is a 4 to 5 step process that, comes and goes in different aspects. It's not a straight line. When you understand that, you can give yourself the time, space, and, energy to always heal from that. And so there's certain amounts we can do on our own, and sometimes we need support. Again, this is like what I help my clients with: transitions, grieving, finding life purpose, psychic development, because it's all interconnected. Like I said, a lot of people want to find their soulmate or they want to find their life purpose, but they haven't let go of all the trauma and the hurt and the pain and the simple things as well of moving house, and they didn't realize how big that was energetically, etc. It's a thing, right? So we can do a lot on our own, and sometimes we just need that little help. That's why I have my 21-day shifter program. It is the best way to start working with me. It's 21 days of voice message and text message back and forth. I work over Telegram. You can ask me any question about anything. We can dive into healing, psychic development, mediumship, whatever comes through. There's nothing that's off topic because it's all important for your purpose and your healing. And that's really the best way, because you're in my little space, in my energetic space, in my container, and I hold you for 21 days. That in itself shifts you, let alone the work that you do and what comes up and surfaces in that. So it is my best way of working with me to start with. That's the 21-day shifter program. You can send me a message. You can find it on my website, realityawareness.com. So there's all those things there. So and that's like a good starter thing, a good starter way to just, and you do, it's called a 21-day shifter because we shift a lot, right? So yeah. if you've been helped on this live stream, you can imagine how I help in that space, right? So yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for all your kind comments. I appreciate that. Yeah, we definitely need to face the darkness. It's called like facing your own demons. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you're my demon and you need to be exercised. And it's like, like this is the reflection. Anyway, I know you guys get it. I don't need to tell you guys you get it. What would your biggest tip be in starting the day off in the best possible way? What do you think is the best method to heal blocks and past trauma and current anxiety? So the best way to start your day off is what works for you. Did you guys know I was going to say that? Because I'm like, people are like, what about this modality? And I'm like, does it work for you? Good, use that. So no, what I mean, I'm not being mean, just in the sense of like, there's so many different ways that you can start off your day, okay? I'm one for trusting intuition. Sometimes, like, and I go through phases and cycles, and if you want to connect to your intuition the best, what you want to do is find what works for you. Now, just like I gave that example before around like I was doing Ashtanga yoga 3 times a week, nothing would stop me from doing that class. It took me off drugs back in 2005. Like it literally like it changed me, but I was consistent with it for 18 months solid, right? And then I flicked out of it and I do yoga when I feel like it, There's a powerful healing that happens when you discipline to something for a period of time. Forcing yourself to commit to it for every day for life, it has to be this way. Sometimes we go through a big life change and we get to a point where we wake up and the kids are crazy and whatever happens during the day and we're like, fuck, I didn't do my thing in the morning, and we feel bad because we're like, I didn't do it and now I'm a bad person, and like now, and then we just sink down and then we just don't do it again. I'm like, you just pick it back up again. And sometimes we need a break from doing that thing solidly every morning to like sleeping until 7. Sometimes like we've just moved, like say if we commit to like a strong yoga practice and journaling and meditating for like an hour or 2 hours because we got the time in the morning and we get up at 4 a.m. and we do it. And you feel amazing. And then you do it for a period of time and then it stops. I don't want you to feel bad. You've shifted, healed, integrated, and changed something within you. And now you've become the thing that you've been doing. Yoga, for example, changes your body chemistry, heals you through its own modality, etc. And it gets to a point you're like, I just need a break from it. You've integrated all the things that you were doing. You're not the same person as when you first started that strong, disciplined practice. And this is the thing about healing. Funny story. I used to get upset. Like I'd have all these clients and then like I'd never see them or speak to them again. Some come back, of course, and then they shift to the next level. But I used to feel really rejected. And then like, it's so funny because then I realized, I'm like, Hannah, you're a healer. They come to you. You teach them how to heal themselves. They do not need you anymore. Your purpose and your job with them is complete. And I'm like, oh, of course. Like, it took me a little while to realize that and to work on my rejection and abandonment issues. Like, it sounds ridiculous, right? But the point that I'm sharing that for is because we do healing work in whatever modality that is, to change something within our life because something in our life is crap right now. Something in our life is crap. And when we heal that, well, our life gets better. Sometimes we still do that healing modality and that's just, we're just like, we love it and we just carry on for the rest of our life with it because we just freaking love it and that's what we do now as part of our normal day routine. And sometimes we're like, I don't need to do that anymore. And I've posted about this before and like sometimes it gets to a point where the meditations don't work, right? And that is because, we've integrated it and sometimes we're shifting through something and then we go back to it and we're like, oh, now I can do it again. So in answer to your question, what is your biggest tip on a morning routine? I want to say for me, like for example, for me it changes. Sometimes I love waking up at 5 and I'm very disciplined at setting an alarm and I'm up at 5. Lately I don't need to set an alarm because my cats wake me up about 4:30 on the dot, like every freaking morning. I'm like, I don't need an alarm anymore, it's 4. I'm like, don't even need to look, it's 4:30. Then they literally jump on me at 4:30. I don't know what's with that. Anyway, if I want to sleep in, I've learned to shut my door, just lock them out for the night. Anyway, the point is like, I love getting up and like getting onto it. I can achieve so much in my day when I get up early in the morning. When I get up early in the morning, I love having my coffee, putting my music in my ears and journaling for 10 minutes, an hour, whatever I feel like, whatever I have space for. Over this time recently, I'm getting up and having my lemon water and honey from Medical Medium protocols, because I'm following his protocols at the moment. And it's been a big change for me to flick from coffee. That's a whole nother story in itself. But for like years, it's like my black coffee, music, because music helps anchor in what you're journaling about, puts you in a vibe, like your favorite music. Like I love it, right? I love that, okay? Yours might be getting up and going to the beach and walking on the morning. It might be getting up and walking the dog. It might be getting up and going to yoga. It might be getting up and having a shower and getting the kids off to school, and then you have your time to do your thing. Again, find what works for you and be okay if that rhythm changes. So for example, I love getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I love it. I get so much done. If I go through a workflow, and again, this changes over time, right? I go through cycles of it, okay? I love going to bed early and getting up early. If I've got a big workflow or I'm in the vibe and I'm like getting all this work done because the flow is there, I'll stay up till midnight, 1 a.m. working. I love it. It's my purpose. I'll go to sleep. But I'm very aware that for self-care, I need a good 8 hours sleep. If I have a few nights in a row where I'm only getting 5 to 7 hours sleep, I'm usually rat shit. I get angry. Don't talk to me. Don't let anything get in my way. But I know I need more sleep. Plain and simple. Sleep is like the best healer. Little side note, getting to sleep before 10 p.m., between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., healing hormones in your body is released. And you have to be asleep to receive them. So if, like in your own body rhythm routines, if you get to sleep by 10 p.m., you know that you're getting the best hours of sleep. So a little side note. The point is that when I've stayed up late working, or sometimes I binge watch whatever's going on in my cycle and flow and whatever, I'm conscious of letting the cats out and going back to sleep until 7. Sometimes I sleep beyond that and then I wake up and I'm pissed off because I missed the best hours of the day to work. I feel like I get so much done. So in a long-winded answer, find your rhythm and your flow, and it can change. When you say what's the best method to heal blocks and past trauma and current anxiety, there's many different things about anxiety. I've done live streams on that. There's many different factors that come into that. Trauma is what we shift in trust intuition. Excuse me, I've been talking for ages. Look at the time. I think I've been on live stream for like 2 or 3 hours. Anyway, I talk, I channel, I serve, whatever. I'm going to jump off shortly. Trauma, there's many different modalities that can heal that. Again, find what works for you. Like I said, many people come to me and they're like, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. On the 21-day shifter, we shift a lot. And then you'll know in yourself whether you need to continue on working with me for deeper stuff, for shifting to life purpose stuff, or whether you just needed that healing and you're off and running, or you want to really cultivate your life purpose. Then trust intuition, working with me one-on-one is the way to go. In trust intuition, I use specific healing modalities to shift trauma that is really, really powerful. So again, there's lots of different modalities. Yeah. So yeah, it's just, again, finding what works for you. Megan says, do you speak to spirits? I do mediumship sessions with people. I do receive messages from spirit guides and stuff, but I'm not like, okay, spirit guides, what do you need to tell me today? Like, I'm just kind of in my flow, and I'll be like, oh, like, just, yeah, I guess I do, but not like sort of go out of my way to do it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Justin says, exactly the teacher I need. This is the best thing ever on Facebook. Oh, I feel so touched hearing that. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Mel says, thank you. Have loved everything you've talked about tonight. Thank you, guys. Feel really touched hearing this. I'm just reading these comments here. Yeah, there's psychic attack is definitely a thing. Whether we're being psychically attacked or someone else is, or we're psychically attacking someone else. I teach this in Trust Intuition in depth because, again, it's a big part of it. It's important. Sometimes we can be psychically attacked and we go through removing psychic weapons and stuff. Axes can be thrown at us and that sort of thing. What you have to understand is sometimes it's done purposely, and a lot of the time somebody can be gossiping about you and angry and they're not even conscious that they're doing it. By the way, a psychic weapon or something stuck in you is just a, what's the right words? It's a combination of the energy that your brain, intuition, energy is like putting in a picture for you, if you may, to just like, you know, it's just I don't know how to describe it. It's not like they purposely threw an axe at you. It's just like, oh, it looks like an axe, you know, and it could be from past life and it was triggered by something that happened in this life. So there's so many deep layers. Again, we go into all of this in Trust Intuition, which the doors are open now. The link, I think, is in the title of this live stream. I'm pretty sure I put in the title. You see it on my Facebook page. The early bird closes, or the investment increases on the 1st of December. We start our 6-month training on the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022. So 22222. And yeah, investment increases. So the link, you know, you find it on a page or comment Trust Your Intuition below and I can pop that in for you as well. All right, guys, I've loved connecting with you, but I can feel I'm ready to jump off. I don't know how long I've been on here. Oh yeah, over 2 hours. Okay. I love it. Okay, awesome. Best Q&A I've ever done. All right, I'm just gonna scroll through these comments, making sure I'm not missing anything important. Okay, Sonia, really important to speak to. I lost my only child 3 years ago, only 25 years old. I don't sleep, depression, just broken. Okay, I want to say, like, you haven't had someone hold you in a space where you can grieve properly. We can grieve on our own, yes. We can grieve for a long time on our own, yes. Having somebody hold you in a space whilst you grieve is the most fastest and most powerful way to shift and heal. I want to say you will never get over your child being gone, but we learn to shift the biggest chunk of grief out, right? Which takes a lot to do that. And we learn to live life, but it's not like we're like happy and gleeful. I mean, sometimes we might feel like that, but then the waves come and we learn to ride the waves. So if it's 3 years ago, I would definitely recommend working with myself or someone else you feel comfortable with, because this is important, right? I'm so passionate about people grieving properly because our society isn't taught that it's okay, and it can create a lot of health issues long term, right? Let alone just life in general, right? So yeah. Affirmation calendars are great for pick me up to flip over when I'm making a morning coffee. See, yes, I love that. It can be very, very simple, yeah. Justin says, can't wait for your next live. You're so welcome. I am going to do live psychic readings tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. I will post when I'm going to go live as well, so you might be able to catch me then. Leanne says, Trust Intuition has been amazing for helping me move through my trauma. Yes, so proud of you, Leanne. So, so proud of you. Yeah, so there's lots of you that have lost people, and yeah, it's so important to grieve properly, like, honestly, you know? Yeah. Diane says, awesome live tonight, Hannah. Love your words of wisdom. Thanks, Hannah. I'll be following you. Yeah, so welcome. So love having you guys here. There is a lot of new people here. I'm so grateful to have you here. you just get it. I love finding Soul Tribe, and you've just found a whole new tribe to connect with because we get it. In Reality Awareness support group on Facebook, there's also Telegram. If you're going through something, if you're feeling off, you can post like, I'm feeling really off, is something going on, or is it just me? And everyone will probably go, I'm feeling it too. And then we understand our intuition that we're picking up astrological stuff, world stuff, and we don't feel so alone. We're not crazy. You're not crazy. You are highly sensitive. You feel the earthquakes next door. You feel the concerts that are whatever. We got this. And the more we can connect with people who also feel it, we start to learn our intuition. Yeah, it's so important. So Guy says, I'm new here. What are we doing here? So I've just been doing a Q&A. I've been talking for over 2 hours. It's a very long live stream. I highly recommend watching on replay, but you don't have to sit there watching for 2 hours. That would just be boring. You can listen on earphones, whatever, like doing dishes, whatever, multitasking, because you don't have to sit there watching me the whole time. But you're listening, you will learn so much, I would imagine. So I would definitely recommend that. It's just a Q&A, and I've spoke about a lot of different topics tonight. So yeah, so I do highly recommend re-listening. So yes. Loved the live, watch it. Dishes are done now. Thanks for the vibes, very beautiful inside and out. You're so, so welcome. Yes. Thanks, Hannah. Where have you been all my life? I'm here now. Yes, I'm speechless. You're brilliant at your work. Thank you. I have been doing it for a long time. You know, as I said, like, this work is a skill. And when we are doing it and living it and breathing it, that's the fastest way to, you know, I've been doing it since 2005. So, you know, that is a long time. Grief is a strange thing. Yeah, it's definitely the stages and it's waves, and it does come back. Yes, I love that you understand this, Alicia. It's so important. And I just think, like, to teach grief itself, you know, to people in general is so important, because everything that's happening in the world right now is creating grief, and no one knows how to support people through it, or, you know, people don't understand grief at all. And they go into depression, suicide, all the things, and all it takes is to someone to say, you know what, it's so normal for you to feel like this right now because look what's happened. Like, it's like just the acknowledgement in itself is so healing, right? I know you guys get it. Soul Tribe, that's it. Soul Tribe. Hannah needs a cuppa. I need some dinner. It's like 10:07. Anyway, yes. I really appreciate being here. If you think this can help somebody, please share it. If you're watching the replay and you got questions, comment below. If you ever get stuck, send me a message. I've got many blogs, live streams. I've done so many different topics over the years. You can go on my website to the self-help page. There is so much support there. There's a psychic reading page, and if you get stuck, you can like go to that page and ask your question and flick through, and then just click on one and fast forward and click on it, and it'll be a message. There's always help available. I'm here for you. I love you guys. Keeping it real as always. Bye.